Click the links to join the channel here over at Subscribestar. Let me try this again without saying all the stuff that would have got me instantly kicked off YouTube. I'm going to put that on Rumble and Odyssey because honestly, it's kind of funny to just let loose every now and then and call these people what they are. Anyway, so Disney, no, this is not Disney. This is Embracer Group is Saints Row. They, them, zer, zim, get shut down for being too woke and cringy. So, oh, what a great image. Some Zerzim is fighting some Is it a man as a woman? Listen, bigot, men can be women. No, they can't. No, they can't. And I think people are just reaching the point of looking at all this kind of stuff and going, are we the bad guys? Are we off course here? Have we gone off course? Well, you're sterilizing your child. So yeah, I'd say that's pretty much a world-ending event. That's an existential crisis if there ever was one. You're burning off the branch, the bud of the branch. You're removing the seed for the future. Yeah, there's really nothing worse than that. Yeah, of course, there's going to be a course correction, I suspect. At least I hope there is, because anything is better than this current path. Anyway, so what happens is they make this woke SJW absolute cringe Marxist cancer where men have fake jugs and every woman is a short-haired, steroided, growth hormone out weightlifter who cut her milkers off. They make this. They do this stuff on Twitter where they want to find a woman, right? And so they show a picture of a woman who's on growth hormones and like Deca, like a steroid, and testosterone, and she's got a beard, and she had an elective surgery for a double mastectomy, and she's like making a muscles and all this, and it goes, is this a woman? Yeah, in every cell of her body, she's a woman. Removing your mammary glands and taking testosterone and growth hormone to grow a beard and secondary sexual characteristics in every cell of her body, she's still a woman. You can remove her uterus and her vagina if you really want to go down that line. It's still a woman. You can't change reality. Is this a woman to you, bigot? Yes, 1,000 times yes. How many fingers, Winston? Anyway, so they make this cancer where everything is just friggin' ugly. And all the men are BLT. In fact, the game doesn't even have sexes to pick from. It's just this little sliding scale for characteristics. Because for some reason, the left wing is terrified to define what a woman is. It's really Orwellianly creepy to see discussions on social media where it goes on and on and on. And the left will do things like, well, why don't you define it for me? Adult human female? Wouldn't you agree that that's accurate? Well, and they just start like tying themselves into these Gordian knots to make reality not reality, because they feel. I mean, they know what what a woman is. For some reason, this stuff doesn't really apply to men. Like men know what men are, and I mean, men know what women are also. This is like kind of a single cat lady phenomenon. Anyway, so they said the old game was anachronistic, dated and not politically correct. Political correctness is for bleeding pussy soy boys who, if they see a group of people having fun, they immediately look at each other and they're all on the same wavelength. It's like, there's a group of people out there. Are they white? Yeah. Okay, we're gonna have to get together and we're just gonna have to destroy this. You look at them, it's like a church group playing board games or something like that. And you go, so you don't play board games, you don't belong to the church, you don't play these video games, read these comics, decorate these color, what do you call those little figurines that Superman guy is painting. You don't do any of this kind of stuff. But you see a group of guys doing something, having fun, and you immediately think, how do we F this thing to death? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's what Soyboy SJWs are. It's like, that's welcome to cultural Bolshevism, where any in-group has to be governed by these political commissars. I'm gonna have to get like a beat button so I can just these people are really a challenge to deal with without accurately describing the staring into the abyss of these soy boys, because it's like the soy boys aren't pulling their own strings. Anyway, the people making this new BLT Furry, I can't believe how worked up I'm getting with these people. They're really get under the skin. These, because they see stuff and they have no involvement in it whatsoever. It could be like a car show. and they'll find a reason to go, we need to get more POCs involved in this, and we need to get women on board this stat. And you're looking at them and like, yeah, nobody's prohibited from joining this, whatever you're doing. And you guys aren't involved in it at all. You have no idea what you're talking about. The Anita Sarkeesians, the Zoe Quinns, like, oh, we love video games. And they start talking about it. It's like, whoa, you clearly don't know what you're talking about in regards to this video game. Because they're getting things like objectively wrong, making just basic mistakes, which means somebody like prepared the Cliff Notes version of the game for them to whine about. And you go, so you haven't played the game, have you? I don't have time to play these games. I just know there's a chick with her butt out and her boobs out. Okay, and then they talk more about games. Go like, you don't play any video games at all, do you? And they have no idea what they're talking about. And like, you're just a grifter who made like Anita Sarkeesian. Dude, she made millions of dollars, enough to, I'd be curious to hop on the computer, go like LexisNexis property search and see how much property she owns, and if you could try to track it down to see how much money she has. Because she had a good 5 years of just getting corporate paychecks and getting donations, and how much of that money went to her, and how much of that money went to her. Wow, her feminist frequency shut down. Oh gosh, that's weird. It's weird. Like, yeah, as soon as Hillary Clinton wasn't lost in 2016, her charity had to shut down. It's like, that wasn't really a charity, was it? Like, oh, you sweet summer child. Anyway, so the people making these new BLT furry Otherkin versions are these exact pussy soy boys who hate everyone and everything. So they make something that used to have some humor in it, like the names of the shops of the old game. They had like double entendres and stuff like that with the titles. So they go, oh, we got to get rid of all those, like a transmission shop, and like lube and grease the rear end or something like that. Stuff that, guys, we think is funny because, I don't know, it's just how we're wired. Except, so they get rid of all that. I guess I should turn the sound off on the other phone. They get rid of all that stuff and they go, oh, we're going to make it politically correct. It's like, oh, well, who's going to buy it then? Oh, that same audience, they'll buy it, or we'll get a new audience of Soyboys to buy it. Yeah, but that almost never works out. Like, get woke, go broke. That's not 100%, but it is like 80% true. So it's much more true than not. And I named the same dozen movies that in total have lost billion dollars, more than $1 billion over the past like 10, 15 years of like these woke bombs. And then the the Hollywood industry in general, and comics and games, all this stuff. It's like, yeah, it's probably like 80-90%, that concept of get woke, go broke. Yeah, that's it doesn't happen cataclysmically all at once. It's not always spectacular. Like a movie bombing and like a Canada Panda movie, where the girl has her period and she turns into a panda or something like that. That lost $170 million. That's cataclysmic. That's impressive to watch that kind of failure. In most cases, it's just a shrinking franchise. People lose their hard-ons slowly, and they just get less excited about buying the merchandise and being involved in whatever community, and just comics start getting smaller, and then the shops start closing, and they go into board games and Magic the Gathering. They go into something else, and the movies kind of lose. Less and less people go to the theater, so they have to raise the prices, and it becomes more select. It's not always a big, all at once Elementals or what's that one? What's that one with Angelina Jolie? The Jack Kirby comic. Oh God, what is it? Not Eternals, right? And like, you go look at the original comic, and he has that great art style where it's super busy in the background. It's like if you look at the Millennium Falcon, it's just a bunch of crap on the the surface of the ship just to give it texture. Kirby did that in his comic really well, and it was all like these blonde-haired, blue-eyed space gods. And then you look at the movie, you're like, what the fuck is this? Oh, diversity. Diversity is cancer. More people just need to come out and say, oh, this is cancer. What, like women and replacing the blonde hair, blue eyed characters with this United Colors of Bennington cringe cancer approach. Yeah, that's all really stupid. Why are you doing that? Oh, so what you're saying is, insert straw man here. I said what I said. How many times do I have to say it? Diversity is cancer. Feminism, all this stuff is cancer. Just put the original characters in there, and you'll probably make money. Oh, so you're this and that. It's like, it doesn't matter if I'm literally all this straw man version. Most people aren't. They want to see the original story, The Little Mermaids. It's like, oh, it'll break even in 2 years. Or, with Peter Pan movie. I think there's a rumor that Peter Pan, total bomb, right? They replaced all the characters. We should call it The Lost Girls. Yeah, they explained in the book that girls were too smart to fall out of their prams. Yeah, that's clearly explained in the book. Did you read the book? No, we kind of vaguely heard of it. We decided to do a remake. Absolute cancer, absolute. So there's a rumor that they're going to remake that again, a live action. Good luck with that. And the rumor is Jennifer Lawrence is going to be not Peter Pan, but Tinklebell or Twinklebell, whatever that little fairy thing is called. I think Julia Roberts was in one of them, like back in the '90s. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that. She sounds like she'd just be adorable back in the day. Anyway, the thing is, political correctness is boring. If you offend cat ladies and cat lady boys and estrogen rich soy boys, that's a good sign. That's the sign that you're doing something. You're firing on all 8 cylinders, because those people don't buy the games anyway. They never do. They get on social media and they talk a big game about, we got to have this in games and movies and comics, and you look at me like, you don't buy anything. In fact, the funniest thing was like years ago, EVS had one of these SJWs who agreed it was like a BLT kind of guy, that kind of thing. And he goes on and he agreed to talk to EVS for a little bit. Credit to him for that. And EVS goes, so like, what comics are you buying? And he said it in a nice way. It wasn't like a challenging way. And the guy was honest. He goes, oh, I don't have any money to buy comics. But he was outraged about, I don't know, diversity in comics. What's that guy, Zach? That guy, diversity in comics guy, criticizing these woke comics. And you look at the guy, it's like, so you're like a loud voice on social media complaining about this stuff, but you don't actually buy the stuff. And they go, no, I don't have any money for comics. And you're like, you got money for weed though, don't you? And cigarettes and whiskey, right? You got money for all that stuff? Oh, well, of course, those are necessities. Yeah, to most people, comics come before weed. Comics come before booze. Comics come before cigarettes, because the comics are the priority for these people, the collectors and people who enjoy this. I don't think there's nobody who actually enjoys the stories anymore. Anyway, the worst thing you can do is hire these soft pussies to make a game, a comic, or a movie. People hate soy people. Soy boys hate each other because they always know they're going to get stabbed in the back, or if they don't know it by now, they should be learning very quickly. Everybody hates beta boys and passive aggressive cat ladies. So these idiots put this woke bug-written game. You probably want to look at the screen for this. A bug-written game out there, and they get feedback on Twitter, and the game responds by calling the customers haters. Weird flex, Cotton. Let's see how that plays out. The game was described as the worst game of the year, a game written by globalist NPCs who are literally shaking at the idea of offending some protected classes. So everything is bland and colorless, men or women, and everything is BLT and furry, trans, otherkin, and a lot of other hot words I probably shouldn't say on YouTube. And everyone's a woman, but they don't know what a woman is anymore, so it's usually a man with lipstick. Like, men are women too. No, they're not. Otherwise, the words don't mean anything. Oh, well, you're istophobic. Maybe, but I mean, that word doesn't seem to have a whole lot of meaning either. So then the game sells on the name recognition alone, which is what all the movies do. They're hoping the name recognition gets people in the door, and maybe at first it used to, but so far lately it doesn't seem to be connecting with people. But this game had huge name recognition, and it sold really well for the first week, and then it just ran into a wall and it stopped selling. They said that the game broke even and in fact made a small profit, but games are designed to be big hits. They're not games and movies. They're not designed to just break even. And there's a bunch of Disney stuff Disney's had some huge bombs lately, but they also had a bunch of small bombs, small things that just missed profitability. It's like, oh, we only lost $10 million here. It's like, I know you're a big company, I get that, but that's not chicken feed. That adds up. And then every once in a while you have something that loses $170 million. Or then they have the Elementals and the Shang-Chi and Little Mermaid. They're like, okay, those movies are going to break even. You're like, okay, so in a year they're going to break even. But there's such a thing as like time and money and return on investment, where, if you just did the Little Mermaids the way people expected it to be, to follow the Hans Christian Andersen story with the little red-haired, green-eyed girl, it would do more than break even. It would be profitable in a month, and then it would make $50 million in the second month, and then you'd sell DVDs and toys and shirts, and you'd make another $50 million. Like, you'd net a solid profit. You wouldn't worry about, oh, thank God Shang-Chi just broke even and it made $2 million. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous, as Adam Carolla in the 90s would say. God, Love Lines used to be a lot of fun back in the 90s. Anyway, So everything sucks. Everything sucks, and they're trying to sell the stuff on the name alone. So they go, oh, it broke. Yeah, this is your response to a customer. It's not an effing fan. A fanatic means they'll follow you blindly. There are no fans. Fans stopped in the days of Beatles and Elvis and Buddy Holly. Maybe the last like fan was maybe Michael Jackson in the '80s. Maybe that was, and but by that time it's like fanatic kind of ended because there's just too many distractions. Like the last time a big fans was probably in the '70s. Michael Jackson was a kind of a special case. Anyway, so what happens is, oh, the parent company fired everyone immediately, and keep in mind they hired them like as a subsidiary, to make this kind of woke Zerzim cancer. So I kind of assume they knew what they're getting into, and Disney and all these other Warner Brothers, they do the same thing, and like you blame the executive producer and the director and Ryan, the round-headed guy, Johnson, and who's that, Abrams, the guy making the Disney stuff. And it's like, oh, it's their fault. Disney was on board like checks and balances the whole way. You don't make a $300 million movie and not approve everything. Is like you're working hand in hand with these people. They're not just given a blank check. There's Kathleen Kennedy and Iger sitting down with these guys and plotting out these movies. Though now that I look at it, it's like how maybe you should have focused on that a little bit more. It's like as Solo told the tale. Anyway, this is the PC version. I think I was able to get through it without saying anything too crazy. But I'm gonna put the first one on Odyssey in BitChute. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all next episode.